Welcome to episode 37 of the Pitbox Podcast. We are back yet again with another episode for you guys. So, in the group chat one day, I was talking about how I really dislike the F1 calendar. I think there's too many races. I think there's too many street courses. They just doing it for the money. I don't like where the sport is heading. But then, of course, Gartrell and Seb disagreed with me. So we figured
Wow.
we might as well battle it out, right? We're going to go through and make our own F1 calendars of all the current Grade 1 circuits that are eligible. And we'll see who comes out on top. We'll see, get a little voting action happening in the comments. You guys can let us know how you feel about the calendar. So, first, I might as well read the current F1 calendar so everybody knows what's going on. There is 24 races this year, and it goes Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Japan, China, Miami, Imola, Monaco, Canada, Barcelona, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa, Zandvoort, Monza, Baku, Singapore, Coda, Mexico, Interlagos, Las Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. I mean, I know the circus likes to travel, but come on now. 24 races?
There's almost as many circuses as episodes in the podcast we got.
It's crazy.
Maybe one day there will be. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
this ain't NASCAR. This is F1. Like, how many races you guys going to have? So, who wants to go first for the calendar?
I guess I'll go first.
I was going to say you spoke first.
No problem. I got no problem going first. No shame. I know. So there was some. So I actually wanted to drop some. Actually, I'll drop some knowledge later. Forget about it. Yeah, we'll see.
Stay tuned for the
sauce. Right. I'm just gonna get straight into it because I think there's no beating around the bush on this one.
Okay.
All right. First up, I'm gonna tell you the ones I don't want on the circuit and why.
Okay.
No Monaco.
Okay.
Y'all gasping. Why y'all gasping?
Oh my god. Yo, that was like a shot to the heart immediately. How you gonna do this?
All right, hear me out.
It's part of the crown jewel.
Hear me out. Monaco has become too much about quality and not the race. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. Back in the day, cars were smaller, more overtakes. It was interesting. Now, if you're not Charles Leclerc and Ferrari, if you get pole position, you pretty much cut the race in the bag as long as you don't mess it up.
Charles, if you hear that, we're sorry.
Yeah.
It's tragic, honestly.
But it's true. Am I wrong? It's likely, especially now that Max and Red Bull are just so far ahead of the field. If you got pole, all you have to do is not mess up your pit stop and stay in front. You got two jobs, and you got that in the bag. So I think it's not representative of a competitive circuit anymore. It's more just for the lights, camera, action. We're in Monaco. It's the money aspect, and I think that it doesn't jive with Formula One.
Interesting.
It's a fair comment. I'll give it to you. But I am going to play devil's advocate just because I can't help but do it. And I think, I do agree with you, though, that, it's less about racing now because the cars are so much bigger than they used to be back then. So, we're not really seeing any wheel-to-wheel. If we are seeing passes, they are some very hairy, ballsy passes.
Yes.
Like you're really risking it all for one place.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I don't mind it, but I want to see more battles on track.
Right, and that's happening less frequently. They're not risking it all every single lap. Yeah, it's a extremely calculated risk. And as much as I don't want to agree that it should be eliminated, I can definitely see as to why a lot of people would feel that way. It's just something about being in Monaco with Formula One that's so traditional that it's more so about that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that all of the constructors decided that, we should progressively make cars bigger and bigger and bigger over time because, as you can see, because the cars are bigger, we're starting to eliminate tracks for that reason. So
yeah, I mean, they're no longer grade one, right? Yeah.
I'll say this. The reason why I want Monaco to stay is just so that people can actually go after the Triple Crown It's just simply impossible to have a triple crown if you just eliminate the track. I agree with you. The racing is not interesting at all. It's kind of just a watch the highlights type of thing. Yeah, and the atmosphere is cool, but for the triple crown, they gotta stay.
All right. I see your points, but it's still off my list. Bye, Monaco. See you later. Second off, no Red Bull ring. I'm a hater. Sue me.
What? If you could see everybody's face. Oh, man.
I'm a hater. Sue me.
I'm appalled.
Yeah. No.
I don't like Red Bull, but I love the track.
The track is not bad.
Good.
The track is a good track.
Is good,
I said what I said. I'm a hater. I don't care. No Red Bull ring.
If you feel some type of way, say it in the comments.
I think we're just gonna have to leave that one there. And just continue on. We'll just take up the rest of the pod talking about that one.
On the same side of that, buy Zandvoort. Also, a pretty decent track, but call me a hater. We in the Netherlands. I'm not with it. Whatever.
So the funny thing is, I actually kind of like Zandvoort.
The banks are cool. I think the banks are probably the most interesting part of the track. It's a very different type of track compared to all other circuits. But for me, it just doesn't do it for me.
I just think you got to think against orange flares.
You know what? You keep throwing the flares on track, and maybe we just won't have Zandvoort in the future. I mean, we all saw that.
You heard it here first.
2022.
But I like Zandvoort, actually. I think it could be because I actually had experience using it when I went to iZone last year. Okay. Like, I actually got a fair amount of laps in. I was like, okay, I understand. I can get with the program. Yeah. Now, do I like that it's tied to max? Absolutely not. But it is what it is.
Fair. All right. And then I got no Baku.
I agree with you there.
I'm going to disagree.
I'm with you there.
I know, because you hate street circuits.
Not all of them. Just
Baku, I think, is a little. It's too straight turn for me. Huge, like long,
too many
straight.
90-degree.
Yeah. I think that it gets boring at that point. It's not really technical. It's more like timing. I don't know. I'm not really there. I'm not really there when it comes to Baku.
It's not that exciting, I agree.
Yeah.
And Azerbaijan, that's how you say the country, right? I didn't know that existed until F1.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, same, man. I'm sorry. We're sorry.
And I could honestly get up, go to use the bathroom, and come back, and they'd still be on the straight. So, it's kind of boring on that part. And if you have straight line speed in your car, there's no you're flying by cars on that street. Like, it's way too long.
You get repassed and pass them again.
Yeah. So that's done for me. And then lastly, not on my list, that's currently on it, is Miami. I would not go to Miami.
I'm gonna agree with you on that.
I'm with you there too.
Lights, camera, action. Not really an interesting track to me. I'm
lights,
off.
Camera, action.
Yeah. And honestly, like, what really disgusted me as like a true F1 fan is like, I was like, oh, Miami, another street circuit like close to us, like relatively. We don't gotta fly all the way to Texas. We don't gotta leave the country to Canada or Mexico, whatever. Like, we could go down there for a couple $100, maybe get a decent seat for a couple $100, $1,500 for a freaking ticket. On top of that, so I'm like,
the ticket price
it's lights, camera, action for me. It's not.
How does that make your not list, but then Vegas doesn't? Because it's the same thing.
Interesting.
You gotta hear me out when I say Vegas.
I'm curious.
Valid argument.
Should we wait until you give us the full list?
The juicy part of the story.
We'll bring it back.
All right. To be continued.
It's very fair. No, it's a very good point. But I think if we're gonna pick one or the other, I'll bring it up now. If we're gonna pick one or the other, where you taking, Miami or Vegas? Because I thought Vegas is kind of Super Bowl for Formula One. I think it's good publicity. It gets the sport out there more. I actually did find parts of the track to be like somewhat technical, and the drivers were actually like fighting to adapt to like those specific like short corners and chicanes. Yeah. So like I like the track for that. Does it have a crazy long straight like Baku? Absolutely, yeah. It's whatever. It is what it is. But I think that it has its merits as opposed to having so many street circuits with like, just like high dollar amounts and like lights, camera, action.
That's true. That's fair.
But if you feel anyway, let me know.
Yeah. So why you never said specifically why Vegas over Miami? What about it?
I think it gets
the track itself.
I think the track is a little more interesting in certain parts of it. But ultimately both are kind of boring to me. But I think, like I said, it's the exposure that Formula One's getting.
So if you had to choose one, you would choose Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like lesser of two evils more so, not so much like I love the concept.
Got
you know
it.
what I mean?
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Now, I'll just go through what I got on my list. I have one circuit that doesn't exist but could exist in the future because it's in the works. So I'm going to say that one first. Chicago. I would be super down for Chicago.
Oh. Okay.
And I'm only adding that because they're talking about adding that to the circuit.
It's another street circuit, though, right?
It would be a street circuit, but, and this is it's a selfish reason. We're in the Northeast. We don't gotta make it a bop to get there. We could actually drive to Chicago to go watch this race, and it makes it accessible to the Northeast without having to leave and go to Canada. And I think it's pretty cool to have it in a metro area. Like Chicago is a big city,
kind of reminiscent to NYC, except maybe less chopped up roads.
Right. So I also looked at the layout. It looks somewhat interesting. I would hope that it would be a cool circuit. But yeah, that's my first one. I don't know if you have any doubts about that one.
No.
So how many races do you have total with your new calendar?
I think 17. 17, I think.
Okay.
All right. Spa's up. Spa's on there.
Okay.
Gotta, right?
Yeah.
I think
Legendary,
so too.
sick track. I've been there. I'll never let that one go.
That one shouldn't retire either, I think.
But did you keep the whole rest of the calendar except for the ones you mentioned?
I added one from that's not on the calendar. 2 that's not on the calendar.
Chicago.
3 then. 3 total. Chicago. You want me to give you the other 2 now?
Yeah.
Hockenheim.
Okay.
And actually, no. Hungaroring is already on there.
Yep.
So just 2.
There's 2 different tracks.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm saying Hockenheim and I was going to say Hungaroring was my 3rd, but it's not. Only 2 tracks not on the circuit, which were Hockenheim and Chicago.
No, Hungary's not on the
Hungaroring is on it.
Not this year. Is
it not?
It is.
It is?
I thought I...
Hungary.
Didn't I...
Hungary is Hungaroring.
I know, but I thought they didn't resign for this year.
They're going.
They're on there.
They go after Silverstone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Hungaroring is on there. I thought that it wasn't because it wasn't on last year, right?
That's why.
I think it was not on in 2020.
They traded it for another one. I don't remember.
Yeah, because it wasn't there last year.
I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't.
We'll leave it to you guys in the comments. Correct us if we're wrong, please.
The new cars have been there, but maybe they did skip last year. I can't remember.
I don't remember. So yeah, Hockenheim was the only other one then that's not currently on.
Okay,
that's fair.
The circuit. Hockenheim, I think, is a really good track. I think it also, we don't touch Germany at all. So I think going back to Germany would be really cool. A lot of motor racing history there. Mercedes is based there. I think it would be fair to have a race for, in each of the place of the constructors, so to speak, to the best of our ability.
Our native country.
So, yeah, I think Hockenheim's a great circuit. I would do that. Spa on the list. This guy hates freaking Saudi Arabia. I'm pointing at Steve right now. I don't know why.
Is it the temps? You frying eggs on the track?
I will say why when I get to my list.
All right. Oof. Saudi Arabia stays on mine because it is a lightning fast circuit, very technical, one of my favorite tracks to drive in the sim. And when they went, I genuinely love the circuit. It's fun to me. It's very, very quick, very fast paced. There are lots of corners that you have to be very precise on your input in terms of braking and steering to rotate the car correctly around the corner without losing time. So I find it challenging and just wicked fast. So I love the straight line speed that you need on that track. Favorite moment even was Valtteri Bottas' first year there, drag race to the end. Right. Beautiful freaking finish for Mercedes on podium. Both Mercedes on podium. Anyway, done with that. I got Silverstone. Gotta have Silverstone. Mm-hmm. Monza. Gotta have Monza. Sao Paulo. Coda. Singapore. We said Vegas. Suzuka. Canada. Already said Hungaroring and Chicago. Portimao. Albert Park. Mexico. Yas Marina and Bahrain. So I did drop Qatar, and what else did I drop? A couple, actually.
You didn't say Abu Dhabi.
And I didn't say Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is Yas Marina.
Yeah, Yas Marina.
Oh, you said Yas Marina. I'm sorry.
But Qatar's off. We don't need to be in the Middle East 4 times. So
that's Lusail, right? That track? It's Lusail, right?
Yeah. And I think I'm missing
They're not going to France this year.
They're not going to France this year. So what else am I missing? Portugal.
You said Portimao.
Portimao, right? Now I didn't make up a comparison list.
Well, Monaco, but we.
Yeah.
Your list was more technical than mine.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my list.
All right.
Keep it at that.
Cool. Okay. Well, obviously, some things we agree on and some things we damn sure disagree on. Chris, go ahead and give us your list.
Got you. So, I on the contrary to Gartrell, don't mind more urban tracks. I feel like it changes it up and it potentially draws more people who are outside of the sport to the sport. I'm starting off with one of the tracks that Gartrell says no to in the beginning, which is Monaco. Now, obviously, as we already discussed, there's valid reasons as to why it's not as exciting of a race as like some of the other tracks. However, I think, to mention what Steve mentioned, you can't have the Triple Crown without Monaco. Aside from that, I personally don't think that Monaco should ever retire. I feel like there's a lot of history there in the town and culture-wise. And then, of course, the location itself and the rare activities that you have surrounded by the track. I definitely feel like as a Formula One fan, going to that type of race would be way more entertaining when it comes to being able to do multiple activities. I know that's outside of the actual racing itself, but nonetheless, I'm talking about things that I guess push people to encourage them to watch the sport. Then after that, I have Miami, actually, oddly enough, also. Once again, kind of going in tandem with how I feel about Monaco. I feel like Miami has that same kind of vibe, if you will, but, in the States. So, yeah, it might not be as exciting of a race, but it does bring a lot of people who wouldn't normally watch F1 into the actual picture and possibly even sell them on going to these other more realistic, grippier tracks.
I feel you on that, but the only thing I say about Miami is I feel like there's so many people who like to just stunt.
Of course.
It's just
that's
like
Miami.
And so people are just there because it's a thing that's going on. It's like, I spent this much to be in this thing and
Look
this
at me.
paddock and take the pictures or whatever, but they don't get a
True. I don't disagree with Gartrell on that at all.
That I'm just saying.
Yeah. Absolutely. Then, bringing it back to something more, oriented to the sport. So I have Silverstone. Of course, I have Spa. Then I have Monza. And I'm doing Italy back-to-back. I got the Imola right after Monza.
Yeah, I didn't have that one. That was the one I didn't have.
Correct.
As well as Qatar.
Correct.
Why Imola, though?
But I don't think Imola's on the track this year, right?
Imola's there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say Imola just for, once again, the history of the actual track itself. And also...
Ferrari,
for Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they did it back-to-back, I feel like that would get that side of things a little bit more excited and animated. Steve has a super blank face on right now. He's like, yeah, dude, whatever. Go to the next one. No, I'm kidding.
But why don't you... All right, but Steve, why don't you feel like you don't need to go to both? I didn't put it on my list, but I think that was more of me just like omitting it as opposed to I'm down for it. I'm down for both.
I will get to that when I get to my list.
Hold on, fans. Hold on.
Make another bookmark.
Timestamp.
Yeah.
All right. So then I also have like Gartrell, the Hungaroring.
Hungaroring.
Yeah. How Steve said it.
Say that 3 times.
I'm telling you.
Hungaroring.
And I put it in my notes here. I'm like, guess where that track is? It's in the name. So that track is in Hungary, in case you didn't know. And then also, that's another really good technical, twisty track where you have a lot of opportunities to see overtakes, which definitely get everybody excited, whether you're there physically or watching it on TV. Then after that, I do have the Red Bull Ring. Aside from the things that surround it, it's actually a good track.
Poorly named.
Yep. And then what else do we got here? So I have Suzuka after that, just because I feel like you definitely got to take it to Japan for the culture. Then, of course, I have Zandvoort. I have Interlagos, actually.
Great.
I have Bahrain. I have Saudi Arabia, actually, the Jeddah circuit specifically.
Yes, sir.
I have Albert Park in Australia, Marina Bay circuit in Singapore, Yas Marina also.
Abu Dhabi.
Yep. I have Qatar on there as well, even though I know we said we're spending a lot of time over on that side of the earth. I do feel like they do have a lot of good tracks that are definitely, challenging to all of the drivers and more competitive. Not like some of these other tracks where if you do good in qualifying, you're kind of just, babysitting your position, hoping that nothing fails on the car.
Yeah. I will say the Middle East is good for challenging the driver and the constructors as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like you're running in multiple different times, especially like FP1, FP2 in the daytime, and then the race is at night, and then track evolution between wind and things like that. So it's definitely like a kind of like a all
right
like
encompassing.
You're right, yeah. It's
experience, especially like you said, when it comes to all the variations, it's more intense on the cars for temperature reasons, and also like Gartrell said when it gets windy, sand and dust does blow on the track, that can affect grip levels. So I would definitely agree with Gartrell on that.
The wind the most, I would think, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. Then after Yas Marina, I have Lusail. Well, that's Qatar. I also have Baku City on here. I know we said, it's a really long, boring straight. But, kind of circling back to my initial point, which is I'm all for the city/urban style tracks because, I feel like it's good for the sport. And also it's, it changes it up, right? We see all these, traditional racetracks and prep surfaces and in those moments in time, you could definitely see the drivers push themselves and, push the car itself because it's a prep surface. But bringing it to the city definitely spices it up. It challenges the driver, puts them more outside of the comfort zone in comparison to the more traditional circuits. After that, I have Mexico, so the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And then I have Las Vegas on here, Circuit of the Americas. And lastly, Estoril in Portugal.
Estoril.
Yeah, and the reason why I left that one last, and it comes to mind immediately, is just because back in the 90s, specifically 96, when Villeneuve overtook Schumacher on the outside, that definitely was like a crowd emotion-provoking moment in time, where it caused the fans who thought, Schumacher was going to lay it on them again, caught him off guard, and got everybody excited. So I'm all for moments like that because it adds for the entertainment. But that's my list.
Wait, did you mention Mexico?
I did mention Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't get rid of Mexico. I think that's...
Well, I did.
Let him know.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Why, Sam? Why?
Which is kind of funny because, I'm a big advocate for street circuits, but for some reason, I think Mexico is cool. It has its technical moments, but I just don't ever really find it that exciting. And I know all y'all are going to give me eyebrows right now, but I think Baku is more exciting than Mexico.
Really?
In terms of racing, yeah.
Baby.
And the big thing, too, with, the straight that you guys were cracking jokes over is, yes, it's got a very long straight, but it's the only straight, I think, on the, that F1 races at where you can have someone hit DRS from the back, try and have them pass you, and then the other person can end up getting that draft on top of that and then still cut you on that first corner.
Probably
it's that long that you can have that battle, and I love that.
Awesome. Too soon, Junior.
Exactly, yeah. Just when you think you got him, it's hibachi.
Exactly. Cooked.
Mexico is interesting, though. Elevation change there is higher.
Is it?
Right?
I didn't think there was
The track is flat. You just add a high elevation.
Right. So it's it pushes the car a little bit more as well because we've seen oxygen levels are lower there, so the cars don't run as efficiently. Sure. It's warm, and then you got lots of technical turns and downshifting zones. I think it's gotta stay for me. It's gotta stay. As a North American track as well.
That's fair.
But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, my list is not very North American heavy after I've gone through
it. There have been a lot of...
Seb's on the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
It's all good, though.
He doesn't support Liberty.
Honestly, we got rid of a lot of tracks. There was what? Phoenix. There's Detroit. There was somewhere in Cali. Two places in Cali. Long Beach. And there was Riverside way back.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then
there's Watkins Glen from back.
Watkins Glen.
There was a ton of tracks.
They've been some places.
Yeah, but now they just all right, we're coming back slowly, but they're adding these
big cars, limited options.
These grandiose circuits. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just giving them a history lesson real quick, but
All right, Seb.
You might as well go through your list.
All right, because you clearly have a lot of extra.
My guy Steve is quiet because he got a lot to say, folks.
Y'all can't see it, but Steve's got an agenda. Right?
Yep.
He's flipping pages.
He's already lining the bullet points in his mind on what he wants to go over.
All right, so I'll kick it off with Albert Park. I feel like I'm actually a big fan of the changes they have made in the past 2 years with changing up part of the sectors and making it a lot more high speed. Big fan of that. I did think it was a little bit technical. I think it was right after right at the beginning of the second sector where there used to be that like, it was like a short right-hander and then left into that long like left-hand turn.
Like
sweeping
now
turn,
just one straight turn.
Yeah.
I kind of like that corner. I thought it was like a good place to fight for like an overtaking position, but I'm also a fan of it because it does open up that straight to be way more quicker and allows for a lot more passing. So like I'm not going to disagree with that.
And I feel like it goes in favor of like the bigger cars, right?
Right.
Like those longer sweeping corners, they're basically kind of future-proofing themselves just in case they decide to, continue to make these cars even bigger than what they already are. Which, if you're listening, please.
If they get any
don't
bigger,
do it.
It's going to be hard.
If anything, they should be shrinking in size so we can go to more tracks. I had Watkins Glen on my list, not to go on a tangent, but I'm a little upset about that. And I had the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife. But anyway, take it over, Seth. My bad.
So number 2 on the list, I got Portimao.
Okay.
I was really happy
one.
to see that back on. I think it was during the pandemic
2020.
season.
Yep.
Yeah, that made for a great race. Albeit, I think it also made for a very terrible accident that happened on a restart. But outside of that, I think the track with its like elevation changes for sure. I don't know if there's any other track in the world that has the most like
drastic
crazy elevation changes. Insane. So big fan of that.
I like that too.
And then third, I got Imola. Big fan of Imola for the same reason I'm a fan of Portimao. I think it's very technical. I think the elevation changes make it for a very provocative race that you have. It requires a lot of driver skill to really like hone in on and make sure that they're like really relying on their driver skill to make sure that they make it to the end of the race.
Okay.
And then I got Monza. I feel like that's just a classic. Like in the same way that you can't get rid of Monaco, you kind of have to keep Monza in my opinion, just for the history.
Valid.
And then next we got Monaco. And the point that I wanted to make about Monaco after you were talking about it, G, was that I do agree with you that the racing is boring. Like it's not exciting. It's not like I'm putting the race on and I'm like at the edge of my seat and I'm like, holy shit, who's gonna end up winning this one? Usually you know.
Yeah.
But there are two really key, I think, factors to consider with Monaco. One, again to your point, it's a qualifying race. Like it all depends on where qualifying is. But because of that, it changes the race strategy considerably for the whole weekend.
True.
So it means that now they're putting way more of an emphasis on qualifying to make sure they have a good starting position for the next day, which I think is just a very big shift in just race strategy overall. And then the second thing to consider is it makes it really hits on the fact that like F1 is a team sport. Like we've seen it before in the past, like Bottas, for example, when he was at Mercedes and he had that terrible pit stop that like the wheel just wouldn't come off and had to retire the car. Like there are just so many scenarios of like the teams have to be on top of their game so that they can ensure that their car's coming out on time. And it's not always on the driver to make sure that they win. It's on the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think it's also a really big element to what makes like Monaco so special. And then also when it rains in Monaco, it pours. And it goes so south so quick, and so I'm totally game for seeing like just drivers really try to hone in on like why they're sitting in that seat and why they're driving in Formula One, because you have to have some really large cojones to be driving around that circuit in the wet,
in the rain,
home in one piece,
swimming in the track.
Seriously. And then next I got Sao Paulo. I think, again, just historic track, just a driver's track, just a beautiful track overall. Also a big Senna fan, so like you just got to pay respects there.
Indeed.
It's got a lot of elevation change too.
That too as well. And then I got Baku.
Okay.
My personal favorite street circuit is Baku. I love that track. Even on the sim, like I think it's great. Arguably, I think the third sector, or at least once you hit Castle section and beyond, that's when it becomes very technical until you get to the final straight.
Okay. I can see that.
Not to throw Charles again in the mix here, but like, Castle section.
I am stupid.
Castle section does ring. It rings a little different now.
Yeah, nah.
He's definitely not gonna.
Basically, just did not train the car.
It's okay. You understand.
We go straight here.
And then after Baku, I got Barcelona. I actually do like the change they made in the last, I think it was the last corner of Barcelona, so that they can streamline that one turn. They kind of got rid of that whole like last section.
Yeah, it's more so they just reverted back to the original layout.
Right, because the OG layout was like the MotoGP layout, right?
Yeah, it's just one. It's only one corner rather than having a chicane there.
And I love that because it sets up the straight for just much more speed once you're coming out of that corner. So love that. And then Coda. I think Coda's just, I arguably, I think it's the best track we have in the States, like hands down.
Yeah, true.
Across any other circuit that we have right now, just Coda, love Coda.
Yeah, I hear that, yep.
And then Hockenheim.
Yeah.
Love Hockenheim. I feel like every time it's on the calendar, it's always made for a great race. For whatever reason, and also another circuit where like once it begins to rain there, it pours, and it really is that much of a technical track where you need to be on the top of your game to really bring it home. Mm-hmm. Then I got Singapore, another one of my top favorite street circuits. Well. And then after that, we got Spielberg. Okay. I don't feel so strongly against Red Bull, but I think as a track, it's a great track. It makes for great racing every single time there's a race there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like the track.
You just a hater.
I'm just a hater.
If it would have just been ring, he would have been cool with it.
Just a hater.
If they left it at A1 ring, he'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Just a hater.
And then after Spielberg, we got Shanghai.
Interesting.
You would put Shanghai, okay.
Yet. You would put China on it.
I would. And I think because that first turn, like we were talking about before, so technical, just so like, and I also love hearing the cars decel like that in that first corner. Like you don't really hear that in a lot of other tracks, and if you do, like it's not that prolonged, but like you really get to hear like the engines really go through all those RPMs to decel and then go around that first corner and then to the left, and then it's a little bit more technical from there and beyond. So love it. Silverstone, just a classic. You can't not have Silverstone. And then Suzuka, it's like the driver's track of like the dreams.
Yeah,
like it's really
in like multiple racing series too. It's just that track.
You can't go wrong with it. And especially with the race just happening recently, and they changed it. They changed where it was on the calendar in terms of timing, and like it really is beautiful this time of year with like the cherry blossoms and everything. So like it's got more than just a track. Exactly. Yep. Okay, this one no one has mentioned. I'm throwing in Sepang here.
Whoa. Okay.
I feel like it's been forgotten.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's another one of those like technical winding tracks that has history, in my opinion, and also just like, I guess the sucker for me is like when Vettel was on Red Bull. Oh no, I think that was when he got his actually first Ferrari win. Was at Sepang when he first joined Ferrari. I'm like 90% sure it is. Again, in the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here. But I feel like I do remember him going off on the radio, and this man was borderline crying because he had just won his first race with the team that he had wanted to be on like since he was a child. And also just that track alone is just super technical and just fosters a lot of like really good side-by-side racing through very long winding turns, which I think we all want to see.
100%. Too wide? I'm in.
Exactly. With these cars, for sure. And then Spa, because you have to.
Indeed.
And then we got Hungaroring. I always think it makes for great racing every single time there's a race hosted there. And then I got Montreal.
Okay.
Also think it's a solid circuit.
Yep.
And then I'm wrapping it up with Bahrain.
Okay. You know what's interesting? I don't think anyone said Sochi.
Nope.
Nah, it's flat.
You don't like Sochi?
Nah. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad track, but we already have enough street circuits. We already have enough flat circuits. I don't want to add it to the list.
Kind of like that. I like that long sweeping curve. Though, I will say, but
right,
I don't know. It was just an observation. I didn't mean to cut off Steve's inevitable list.
I'm just thinking because I like the addition of Malaysia. It's just for me. Parts of it reminds me of China. Obviously helmet, Toka design, all that stuff.
Right.
But it might be the first turn because the first turn kind of reminds me of China.
Yeah, definitely.
How it's laid out. But yeah, that's definitely a good one. So for my list, I chopped 4 tracks. Miami, which I think we all are in agreement on. Nothing necessarily add there. Qatar, even though like it made for a good WEC race, F1 to me is just all right, and it makes a good MotoGP action, which is like its original purpose.
Yeah.
But for F1, I'm just like meh. You know, it's not anything extraordinary.
Like the cars or is what?
It could be the cars. It's like it's a lot of long corners. Which again it works for MotoGP, and I didn't think the WEC race actually was going to be as good as it was. They surprised me, but like the 2 times they've gone to Qatar, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like there's a few good moves, but seems like the real passing zone is there's only like 2 or 3 corners where
they
you really can make a move. Then Baku, to me, you gotta get that out of here. I'm sorry.
Because
I think it's too many street circuits. There's too many street circuits, and
they're only adding more. So
yeah, like to me, that's part of what I said at the start is that we're heading in the wrong direction with the quantity of street circuits that are being added.
But out of all of the other street circuits that we have, that one really needed to get clipped.
All right, so we got just so we have for the viewers, we have Miami.
Yep.
Right.
Qatar.
Baku.
No, the street circuits.
Oh, you talking about?
Yeah,
okay,
he's
so
naming all the street.
Okay, so on the calendar for this year, the street circuits would be Miami. They count Canada as a street circuit.
What? They do?
They do.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't like
maybe because part of it is in the street.
circuit.
Wait, do they do the same for Albert Park then too?
Because Albert Park was technically the street circuit.
Yeah, it is a street circuit.
That's a public park. Like, they use that.
True.
Yeah.
On daily
Oh
basis.
yeah, that is true. Yeah.
I lost my spot. Hold
Where
on.
else? Monaco, obviously.
Yeah. And then Baku, Singapore, Vegas. Yeah. So that's all the. Yeah, that's all the street circuits.
I would let Baku go.
It's in Saudi. We didn't say Saudi. Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I would let Baku
It's
go.
a street circuit.
If you had to choose one, yeah.
Yep.
Mexico's a street circuit too.
Facts.
Yes, Mexico is a. Yeah, because part of it is
Yeah.
Goes through a baseball field.
Yeah.
We're talking about parks. Yeah. Cut through third base.
Yeah. Yeah. So that definitely too is a street course. So then, like I said, I'm cutting Miami, Baku, Qatar, Saudi.
Which I don't understand. I think it's
phenomenal
track.
So here's my beef with Saudi Arabia. Besides the fact that one, there's too many races, and for me that's one of the low hanging fruit.
Damn. So that's the backup.
I think you would just get rid of the whole Middle East if you could.
No. I like Bahrain, and I'm fine with Abu Dhabi.
But
Qatar,
Saudi Arabia specifically,
it has to go. So for one, like to me, the track is best in qualifying, but that's also
okay.
Like,
that's a lot of tracks though. You think?
Okay. I might not necessarily say a lot, but there are other tracks that are just good for qualifying. Like you said, Monaco, for example.
Fair.
There's other issues to me with Saudi besides just the track. But actually, let's stick to the track. So
Stick to the podcast.
yeah, let's stick to the track. So for the track itself, like they made improvements this year that I liked by actually moving the walls back. Because to me, in its original iteration especially, it was way too dangerous. Like, you can't have that fast of a corner where you can't see around the corner. Because if someone is parked there, you have an airplane crash.
Yep.
Or even we've seen people breaking cars in half, like Mick.
Yeah.
We've seen people, F2 accidents, people tearing stuff up. I can't remember if W Series had any issues there. But to me, it was being unnecessarily dangerous. And okay, so I'll give them credit that in some of those spots they moved the walls back so you can actually improve the visibility. But
you have Monaco, by the way.
I do have it on the list.
Just so we're saying,
I have Monaco staying on the list.
He's talking about his list that he would boot.
I know.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, and my point is, you're talking about cars getting split in half. I'm pretty sure Mick got split in half on Monaco.
Yeah, he did actually.
Okay, yeah.
So
he split multiple.
We're talking about danger. We're talking about danger.
He split multiple cars.
And Latifi as well. Bad crash in a regular circuit. I'm just saying, like, danger to me is a little. It's not a strong argument for me. That's what I'm saying.
But they don't have the same level of blind corners that Saudi has. Because this is what I'm thinking. You come around the corner, if you have bad communication and they don't know you're coming and you're sitting in the way, you have an airplane crash. At least other tracks, like, you can see that somebody is in the way. You'll have a problem. But they did move the walls back.
Albert Park.
I don't think
George on the last lap crashes.
Did you hear his explanation?
Yeah, I understand what happened, but I'm saying, like, the same level of danger is there. That is technically a blind corner with that sweeping right-hander. He could have been easily airplaned the same way you're saying on that track. I don't think
it's dangerous as Saudi Arabia, and he just admitted he was looking at the steering wheel. He's messing around with the switches, and Alonso really caught him off guard.
Yeah,
you know, so that kind of made me look at it a bit different. He ain't even looking where he's going. I'm saying he didn't say that when they asked him initially. At this weekend, like, we're recording this the day that Suzuka has happened. He admitted he was playing around with the steering wheel. That's crazy.
That whole brake check nonsense really didn't fly.
I'm like, okay. Yes, Alonso caught him off guard, and he did brake earlier, but I think Alonso's story is starting to make a bit more sense compared to...
Well, he claimed he had throttle issues, right?
He was having issues, and he said he was trying to get a different exit for that corner this time, which is why he slowed down, accelerated, braked, slowed down, and you know, did what he did, and George got caught off guard. Plus, he's looking at the wheel, not the corner, and you know, boom. But then also with Saudi, we've had a missile strike at the track.
Yeah, you're right.
You can see the flames from the track. Oh, and you're going with the race.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. It's just background noise. What?
They said,
what do you mean? That was a local barbecue. I have no idea what you're talking about.
How do you have a missile strike that you can see from the track and you just going with the race because apparently leaving just doesn't really matter? Okay. And then F1 wants to talk about equality and all this stuff with Saudi's human rights issues regarding women.
It's true.
You're there for the money. Okay. Let's be real. Just be real with me. Damn. You're there for the coin.
Timestamp right here.
You're there for the coin. Because this isn't about all the things that you're preaching.
You're right.
You wouldn't go there. You wouldn't even have considered it. But obviously we see the Middle East is going hard with sports. They're talking about building a newer, bigger, better track in Saudi. That's just a part of it. But
you mean that one with the 20-foot turn?
Yeah. They're talking about that, and they probably will do it. Now,
20 feet up.
Yeah.
Elevation, that's high.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. But that's my beef with Saudi. It's just an unnecessary place to be in my book. I know I said 4, but I actually forgot to write one down. I cut Vegas off too. I don't really think there's I understand why it's there, but this is again leaning to my point about too many street circuits. And of course, when you put a street circuit together, you can only do but so much with the corners. Vegas was good solely because there was a lot of passing, and there's a lot of passing because it's just a straight line. It's a straight line into a slow corner. Another full throttle zone DRS into a slow corner. So of course
there were some overtakes in the chicane, though. I will say, especially on McLaren and Perez.
Where were most of the passes? DRS zone coming into the corner.
But you can say that for most tracks.
Wait, when Charles passed him, that definitely was a straight.
No, that was in the corner.
He passed them into the chicane.
Perez they went into the chicane at the same time, and Perez came out ahead because he went deep on the brakes on that one turn.
Okay, I'm talking about when Charles passed him cleanly.
Yes, that was on the straight.
They were on the straight. It was a real nice move.
Yes.
But yeah, most of the passes were what? DRS, pull up, deuces, I'm out of here.
Straight time.
Yeah. So I did leave some street circuits, obviously, because I think there should be street circuits for variety purposes, and the actual good ones, like Singapore, again, they consider Canada a street circuit. Believe we should go there. Already talked about Monaco. I think that's enough for the street circuits. Now, I also, here's the controversial part in the group chat. I said we should rotate Imola and Monza. And I solely feel that way just to reduce the races in the calendar. So personally, I feel it's a bit too many races. 24 is excessive. I mean, the way...
What would be ideal? Like, quantity-wise?
It shouldn't be higher than 20. I think 18 to 20 is the sweet spot, truthfully.
Why do you say that, though? Like, what's your specific reasoning? Like, is it, like, emissions? Is it, like, you think...
When the season ends?
What makes it too many races? Because some people will admit and say, like, oh, I think football has too little games in a season. Like, you kind of want the fans to be involved more often than not, I would say. Like, off-season is lost capital and stuff like that, but... it's also lost engagement with, like, your core audience. So, like, why not more? Why less?
The way Liberty Media makes money is by having more races. Okay. So to make more money, which things are looking pretty good for them, that's why we have all these street circuits. You just continue to pile it on, and it's a very simple way to bring the race to the people because you don't have to go out to the middle of nowhere for a track, and you're increasing the visibility and all these things. Okay.
People are making money aside from the folks just in Formula One, though.
Absolutely.
They did break down Vegas, and it turned out net positive for not only the folks who throw the race, right?
But the residents,
but the people who live there did end up making money.
Because they're extorting people.
Race tax.
Everybody saw what those hotel prices look like.
Yeah.
You can't make money off of that. You can't be in business. Sorry.
But, like, to play devil's advocate, though, it means we get to watch more races.
Agreed.
Who wants to see Max win more? I'm all about...
Damn. There you go.
I'm all about, like... But also, I guess probably because, like, I'm a racer, too. I want quality tracks. I don't really care to just see them drive around nonsense tracks like Miami. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're supposed to be the best in the planet. Put your skills on display. Vegas doesn't put really their skills on display. Miami doesn't put their skills on display. Like, it's just who got the best engine, which is fine because that's part of racing. But that's just how I feel.
Okay.
What was your question again? I forgot.
No, that was it. It was more so just like, why less?
Oh, I cut the street circuits?
Okay. Summarize it, he's looking for quality, not quantity.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He wants the drivers to be challenged.
Yeah, and then also...
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Fair.
And then also, like, you look at it from emissions perspective, like you said. You want to go net zero, is easier to go net zero if you don't have to keep flying everywhere. Like, you got less stops on the calendar, it's easier to achieve your mission.
Yeah.
Then also, I think, like I said, some of the places could be rotated. Now, of course, they sign these long contracts with these locations, so it's not really feasible for the foreseeable future, but I think it's a way to both increase the variety of the tracks that they go to while maintaining the staples. So, for example, I said Imola and Monza. First off, they don't even stay in Italy on the calendar. Like, they go to Imola, they go elsewhere, and come back to Monza.
Yeah, I agree. I had mine back to back.
Later on, of course, like, the purpose of the episode wasn't to have the races in order of how they could or should happen. It's more so just the
Which
events,
track itself.
the events in general. But that's just an example of them being inefficient. Like, maybe you should just rotate them. We have both. You'll get both. You just gotta wait 1 year. That's all.
Tell that to the Tifosi.
I'm joining the Tifosi starting December 15th.
He put the application in already. You already know what that means.
We are wearing red next year. Mercedes, we had a good run.
It was nice silver arrows, but
until
next time,
it's time to eat
ciao.
pasta, pizza.
I'm getting
ravioli.
a head start. You see me in Monza in August.
Can't wait to see you yelling at the TV, pinching your fingers.
We're gonna start speaking with the accent too.
Mamma mia. So then other tracks that I would love to see rotated. We already talked about Germany, but I want Hockenheim and Nürburgring GP to be rotated.
Okay.
You know, like we said, Germany should be on the calendar. I think it's kind of silly that they're not. You're going to have all these races and have multiple races in the same country, and just ignore Germany as a whole. That's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So Hockenheim, Nürburgring GP, let's put those in the rotation. And then of all the other tracks, something else I want rotated would be, let's rotate Zandvoort and Turkey. Turkey is a track that I really like. I picked Zandvoort. I do like Zandvoort, but because of the tie to Max, that's the one that kind of has to go for the...
Max may have an influence here.
for the rotation. In that way, like, they can appeal to the orange crowd and all the stroopwafels and all that good stuff. But also, we get another good track, which is Turkey. And you can make the same for other stuff. Like Mugello, for example. I thought Mugello was pretty cool when they went there. But then that's 3 potential races in Italy. And, you know, just a thought. But then a lot of the stuff that's on the calendar I think should stay, such as Bahrain, Australia. I didn't do the whole alternate thing for Suzuka and Fuji. Well, Fuji is actually like one of my favorite tracks on the planet. I think Suzuka better fits the current gen of F1 cars. It's a bit more of a challenge. So then we can keep China. Like I said, we keep Monaco, keep Canada, keep Barcelona, which, if you guys don't know, is about to get booted for like some street course.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Feeding into what I just said. How many street courses are you going to have? Why are you going to the street course? You got a real track, a better track. I just said all those reasons.
Yeah, they shouldn't substitute the street tracks for legitimate tracks. I'm definitely not saying that. Having a balance of both is key, but trying to freaking dilute it so much, I don't know.
Hey, it's all dollars and cents at the end of the day. So then keep Red Bull Ring, keep Silverstone, keep the Hungaroring, gotta keep Spa, keep in Singapore, we're keeping Coda, we're doing one trip to the USA, keep Mexico, keep Brazil, and Abu Dhabi I'm indifferent on. Like, I'm not opposed to it staying, I just, you know, it's like, whatever. And with that would bring me, if I keep Abu Dhabi and do the rotation on the 3 times during the calendar, that would keep me at 19 races, which, like I said, I think that 18 to 20, that's the sweet spot right there. Because you're getting a lot of races, but, like, you're not overly burdening the crew of these teams and such who have to travel to all these locations. And in the case of 2024, 23, 22, less Dutch national anthem.
Yeah.
This sounds like a Dutch national anthem reduction policy.
That's all it is right there, man. You know, he retires, we got some real racing going on.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I feel the way I feel because I went to that race. I went to Belgium.
Yeah.
I was literally walking the track chilling.
Had the waffles.
And then I walked past the mag zone and they literally were taunting me like 2 feet in front of my face. Like, I'm just like, this is really whack. Like, I would not be doing that if Lewis won. I don't know. It was just, and other things, other displays of like that crowd kind of being rowdy and it just doesn't vibe with me on top of that, you know? So, I mean, look, Max was a great racer, but
no need to be
I
challenged.
have my reservations, and you know.
All that orange.
Yeah. So.
They're known for that. I think at Spa, at Zandvoort, at
Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, Red Bull Ring. Like they've been known to be rambunctious and get like kicked out. And like what track was this hands for? Or someone threw a flare on the track?
Sure yeah.
Like, come on, guys, drink less.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Or know your limit and control yourself. You're killing it for us.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How you get the flare through the gate? That's all I want to know.
Yeah,
like,
for real. Where's security
legal.
at? Man.
They have them. They're all over. Even in Spa, they were popping those.
But you're not even supposed to be able to bring it into the track.
Oh, yeah,
so
I agree.
it's
Like before, at the
But
entrance.
I will say that it was a joke. Like, I was barely online for maybe like 5 minutes as I walked into the venue. So, like...
You look safe. Come on.
Like,
more like, you paid?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Come on. It's much more lax in Europe, I think, when it comes to like events and stuff like that.
All right, so they could leave it lax, but people, get it together. You know what I mean? No need to act a fool, potentially cause damage, or cause someone to get injured.
Or just waste my time, because I'm watching the race, man. You over here yellow flagging because of flares popped in the track. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
We digress.
Yeah, but those are some pretty good lists.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So
FIA,
now-
are you listening?
Get
us up.
call. I got something for you.
We'll give you guys the mix.
Now, fans, in the comments, let us know which list you like the most, or at least give us your list so you can see what we might have missed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, like, outside, if you disregard Monaco, like, nobody said anything in France. We didn't say, like, Paul Ricard or Magny Cours, anything like that. And I'm sure there's a few other tracks we probably could have mentioned as well that we didn't. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We look forward to seeing what you guys got. And we'll catch you in the next one.
All right.
Peace out.
Catch you guys later. Shouts out to the OG crew. And lastly, we're in NYC, people. Please excuse the background noises. We got alarms, two-strokes, motorcycles, ladies yelling. You know how it goes. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Just had to